joining us on this special occasion. I'm at the foot of the mountain today. I can feel the breeze, the leaves. It's so natural. And I'm sharing the set with very dynamic young people today. Before you get to meet them, I'd like you to meet the lady who brought me into this project, who enlightened me. I followed her for a few years on social media. She is the founder and the coordinator of Better Breed Cameroon. Better Breed Cameroon is an organization that is committed to the empowerment of our younger generation, of the youth in Cameroon, helping them to grow. I'd love to give you all the details myself, but I think it's best you hear it from her. We're hosted today by Iyaboya. I introduce to you Monique Kwachu. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for hosting us.
Better Breed Cameroon, how did you come about?
By the time I was graduating, I had volunteered for several different organizations. Reach Out Cameroon, National Commission for Human Rights, amongst others. And each of them had their own agenda. I had a portfolio full of ideas for youth work and youth development, and none of them could take that since it didn't go in line with what their sponsors actually funded. So when I was awarded a cash prize for academic excellence despite disability, I have a hearing impairment. I took that money, 200,000 francs, and invested it in setting up a youth development association. So along the line, since then, I've been joined by people who believe in my idea, who believe in youth empowerment, and who believe that, like me, that youth development is the most sustainable form of development for Cameroon, to assure that when this generation of leaders go down, we do have people who will be equipped and capable to be better citizens and better leaders.
You've been going on with a competition for the last 4 years within your organization. Why did you bring about a competition into this?
I believe in the power of writing. I believe in the power of sharing your story. So I think one of the faults we have in our society is that we don't ask young people what they think. We don't include them in the conversation. So this was a way of getting young people to say what they feel about what's happening in their country. And the essay competition started as just Better Breed Youth Essay Competition. But by 2015, we were sad to lose one of our founding members, Sam Randy. And so we renamed the competition after him in his memory. So it's now the Sam Randy Youth Right Contest.
If you had to share your experience, there you go. If you had to share your experience as a young Cameroonian growing up in an environment where we don't necessarily have the facilities to give us the career and professional orientation, how would you describe it?
It's challenging. It's challenging, but then, like they say, perhaps it's because of the challenges that we become who we are. We become tougher and we improvise. I would say it's challenging, but it's also motivating in a way. It makes you harder. It makes you think out of the box. You won't survive unless you do. And it makes you appreciate things. I think that's one of the main reasons I love being in Cameroon. You can take a lot of things for granted if you're not in the country, but when you're in a country, you actually appreciate a lot.
The younger generation in Cameroon has major challenges believing that this environment is conducive for progress, is conducive for growth, for success, right? Most of them would say they have to go through the fast lane to build their lives as they want it to be, as compared to other African countries around us who have facilities that will promote what they do career-wise and professional-wise. If you had to identify a few elements or criteria of yours as a person that helped you go through?
I don't think I can say I've succeeded in all I would have loved to by this time. But if I could point out things that have helped me achieve what I have today, I would say first and foremost is knowing what I want, having your purpose in hand. I think a lot of us go astray or are confused because we do not exactly know what we want from life. And I attribute that to being told what to do so much and being stubborn, and perhaps to reading.
Yeah.
Yes, A Purpose-Driven Life is one of the books I always quote for that. Um, I would also say something that's helped me so far is being willing to share. We have a culture of secrecy. You don't tell somebody if you're traveling, you don't tell somebody how much you earn,
Yeah.
you don't tell somebody of an opportunity, and you don't tell somebody if you have a problem. I think being open and sharing has helped me a lot. And I also have to credit my mentors. Being with people who are better than me, I walk up to them and I don't care as long I have nothing to lose. So I walk up to them. If I see somebody I admire, I walk up to you. That's one thing I did with Professor Endele. She was at that time she was a pioneer HOD for our department.
Yeah.
For our department, Women and Gender Studies. So I walked up to her at the conference. And I told her I want to be like you one day, and she just adopted me from then. I think those three things, yeah.
In the last 4 years, you've run a competition towards the end of the year against the next year. This year, the topic was about peace and security in Cameroon. For the last few years, Cameroon has been, I'd say, under attack on many fronts, politically most especially. And it has helped, it has contributed to making the youth feeling even more insecure than before about their future. If you can share with us your choice of this topic for your competition.
This topic was actually suggested by Ngum Gafo of Africally Speaking. She suggested it last year after the success of the last year's competition. Was we had the most entries for the last 3 years. And she said she would like we should challenge young people to see if they're actually watching the news, if they know what's happening elsewhere, if they know about the wave of terrorism and what they think about it. We didn't want to actually put terrorism in a topic this year to try and remain apolitical.
Yeah.
And so we twisted it in a kind of way to ask people, or we broadened it, ask people what they think is the greatest threat to our peace and security and what we could do to avert it. With that, I would say we tried to find out how multi-dimensional young people think to prove that they're thinking out of the box. What it's not just about Boko Haram. Yes, we have been on attack from them, but what else is there? And or even if we want to consider Boko Haram, what do you think is causing their successful infiltration into our country? If they're succeeding?
On this session, we had 37 submissions. So out of 37 submissions, we have 3 brilliant minds. On my right, we have Bruno. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Bruno has been with us from the start, so well. We have Sadie right next to me, the lady in the cultural wear, looking very glamorous. Her smile is priceless.
Thank you.
And the last candidate today, it took me like 10 hours to remember her name. But finally I got it. It's Foba. Thanks for joining us. Another contagious smile. I'm happy to sit around you today, and I'm happy to exchange with you because I think you'll teach me a thing or two about how we feel about our society. Like Monique said earlier on, we really don't care in general how the young people feel, but those are the people we should consult because they are the future of our country. I'll start with you, Foba. What was your reason for joining this competition?
I joined this competition because I wanted to get my voice heard. I wanted a platform where I could put forth my opinions and the solutions to the problems that I saw.
I'd like to share with Bruno now, in terms of potential, right, when you revisit like the peace and security of the country, the instability on the political and economic front, and you think about your future, of course, do you feel like the youth really have the potential they need to rebuild a new Cameroon as we're requesting, I'd say?
Of course, we all know that the youth are the future of every nation, not just Cameroon. In fact, the youth are the future of the world. And when I look at the potential of the youth that we have in Cameroon, our youth, if I dare say, are among the best that we have in the world. Despite all the security challenges that we have, the economic crisis, the political crisis, and even the socio-cultural crisis that we have in Cameroon, I believe that the potential that the Cameroonian youth has is going to be vital, especially if Cameroon aims to achieve emergence by the year 2095. So I believe that the youth must put everything that they have as potential to make sure that Cameroon prospers.
For Sadi, interesting question from my perspective. We're lacking a lot of career orientation, a lot of professional orientation. The professional ethics that we are given do not suffice as compared to what a lot of other countries around us are experiencing. If you were faced with a leadership role at this point in your life or anytime soon, do you assume that you have the competencies necessary to be able to guide and orient a development in the fields that interest you?
Well, personally, I think one of the greatest challenges is that we put a lot of things before us that we find it so difficult to accomplish them. I believe ethics should start from inside, from the individual you get. So when we are talking about ethics, it's not like to put a set of cumbersome rules, you have to do like this, like on the media, you have to do like this. No, it's something that you should first of all train up the people's mind. Like Madame Monique said, these are young minds coming up. I think right from schooling, right from parenting, if you're able to train up the children's mind with those basic individualistic ethics, it would help them now in the way they would appreciate their society, because whatever I do in life now is based on my personal ethics first before I want to think about what my country thinks or what Miss P thinks.
Okay, now I'm being attacked. Talking about social media, right? I'd like to share with each of you your opinion on how we use social media in Cameroon. I'll start with you. Do you feel that we use social media appropriately?
I don't. I actually don't. I feel like most of us we use social media only for entertainment, and I think there's so much more we can get from there.
I'll go with you, Bruno, next.
Well, I believe it is a rough melange, so I can put it that way. Okay, I believe that it is a rough melange because there are some people who actually make effective use of the social media, and there are others who do not make effective use of it. We all know that the social media was not actually created for some of the reasons that we have here, in as much as some of those reasons include entertainment. But then, if you're using the social media for entertainment, for instance, which type of entertainment are we talking about?
Yeah.
So that's the issue. So there are some people who make effective use of it. Here in Boya, for instance, we have Boya is the Silicon Valley of Cameroon. So especially here in Boya, that these startup techs, most of them make effective use of the social media. They use it to market their enterprises, to market their ideas. But there are also people who go there to waste time and do not use it effectively. So it's both ways.
And you, Sergi?
Well, just to corroborate Bruno, I think he used the right word. It's a rough melange. But I also want to say that a greater percent of the youths, they use the social media out of excitement. For example, we know that for some time now in the English part of Cameroon, we've not had the internet. And when the internet is just back, you see people on WhatsApp saying things, forwarding messages. At times at 12, 1, 2, 3, you see people talking.
Yeah.
Chat, hey, Bo, how are you? How was your day? And all that. People are just excited. They go on Facebook. Oh, I'm from church. I'm from school. This is Miss P and I, all these kind of things like that. I think many of us, we are really excited with the social media. Just a few people, like the Camgas, the Brunos, the Forbas, the Sagis, the Miss P's.
Now you're being very biased. Yeah.
And I want to say that most of the opportunities are on social media. For example, we got to know about Better Breed because it was on social media. Even the summer Randy writing competition was on social media. I got it from a friend's phone that she downloaded from the social media.
Back to this topic of today. If you had to revisit being part of this competition, how would it influence positively your future?
Well, I think the greatest thing this competition has done for me is to increase my confidence that I can actually do this. I found myself going online, checking out more essay competitions, trying to do more research and increase my knowledge about certain issues which at first I thought, like, this is not my field, I'm not interested in this. So I think this is the greatest thing the competition has done for me and for my future.
Bruno, I'll focus on the money aspect. When it comes to men, we know men love to hustle more than the women. The women sit and receive, they say. I'll take that in quotes. It doesn't apply for everyone.
I disagree.
If you had to win a cash prize, if you had to win strictly a financial value of this, except for taking part and broadening your experiences and exchanging networking, what would the value of that money mean to you as a person right now, as a youth right now?
Now, we all know that we live in a country where progress usually is not is not up, the progressing is sometimes difficult, and there are some people who do not actually progress because they don't know, because they don't have the ability.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have the intellectual capability, but then you will need the financial backup. So when the financial backup comes, sometimes you want to set up a project. Let me take my case for instance. I'm thinking of maybe setting up a website, a website that will be sensitizing not only the youth, people in general, on culture, on peace, bringing it back to the topic of the AC, peace and security. So, and setting up the website, you have to buy a domain name, you have to buy hosting, so all these type of things.
Researching into the peace and security, the threats of peace and security in Cameroon, if you had to give back some word of advice, share something positive with your generation based on the in-depth knowledge that I'm sure you've had over them, what would you say? I'll start with you, Bruno.
Well, when I was actually doing research for the topic, because personally I believe that corruption is the greatest threat that Cameroon faces in terms of peace and security. And when I look in my environment, there are a lot of youth who actually get discouraged because of the level of corruption that we have in Cameroon. For instance, last year, Transparency International declared that Cameroon was the 145th least corrupt country in the world out of 175. So when you look at the statistics, it's appalling. Now, many people get discouraged because of the level of corruption that is in Cameroon. So if I'm to advise you, I'm going to say, do not give up, do not get discouraged. There are a lot of people who are going to tell you, okay, I've heard about this entrance examination that has been launched, I'm not going to take part. Why? I'm not a minister's son, I'm not a director general's child, so I'm not going to take part. Why? Because corruption is not going to enable me to enter there. But then I believe that do not give up, in as much as corruption is actually destroying Cameroon. But if we all give up, then who is going to change our country? Who is going to change our nation? So we should not give up. We used to say, when you fall, stand up. If you fall again, stand up. And even if you fall the third time, still stand up. So I believe that going forward, never giving up is what every youth should do.
In line with this competition, I thought psychological disparity was the main cause or the greatest threat to peace and security in our country, because from my interactions, from experience, from the words I've shared with others, I realized that many times we seem to be so close, but in our minds we are far away. And just like we've been talking about some of the threats like corruption, as Bruno said, or you have other things like social ills, the greed, the embezzlement, and everything. In the midst of all this, as Cameroonian youths or youths all over the world per se, I just want us to keep building our minds positively. You need to have a great mind in order to bring about great impacts in the society. You don't have to let what is happening around your community, whatever social ill it may be, to weigh you down. You must see everything that happens which is negative as a challenge to bring forth positive impact in your society. Personally, when I saw these questions, I was so happy because they asked me a second part of the question: how do you think we can avert it? In life, you don't focus mostly on your problems, you focus on the solutions you can give to the problems. In fact, I think it's more important for you to have problems so that we'll have many great minds who will come up and bring solutions. So you should be privileged, just build up your mind as a solution giver, and whenever you meet a problem in your country, you bring forth a solution.
The advice I'll give to all the other youth on how to find their bearings is to empower yourself to make yourself indispensable. For nobody owes any of us anything, so you have to earn it. You have to increase your production capacity. Read books, read on personal development, read on different topics, politics, anything. If you feel like you've been treated unfair, go and try to find out the law behind it. Read on every single thing you can find. And also, it's very important to network and connect with people and just listen to people without judgment.
Now I feel extremely dumb in the midst of these brilliant minds, but I'm sure I'm going to write an essay after this for you. Just so you know how smart I can be at times.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay.
For a young lady who's engaged in youth empowerment, what are the biggest challenges you're facing?
Right now, the biggest challenges I'm facing with working with Better Breed Cameroon is sticking to our principle. One of our main principles is that we are not soliciting for funding. I've worked with a lot of organizations, and I think we have defiled the social entrepreneurship field, and a lot of people criticize the West, but still we're depending on them for aid and such. So we have a principle, Better Breed Cameroon, that we are self-sponsored. Our organization, our members contribute time, effort, money to run our projects 4 times a year. So sticking to that principle of self-funding is difficult when times are hard.
Yeah.
So right now what we're trying to do is build a stronger membership. More people, more investment, and more Cameroonians doing things for youth development work.
Do I smell something nice?
Yeah, these are the envelopes with the money.
Exactly.
So, what we're trying to do right now in addressing that challenge is also it's also
I had to do that. I'm sorry. I had to take it in. I'm sorry, Monique. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're tempting me. I'm broke. So these people are actually
How did you know? That's the feeling I had when I smelled it. I was like, my pockets are getting filled tonight. My joint friend for you. Another one. Who is first? Who has more money?
money.
Yes.
So, what we're trying to do right now, aside from getting more members, more people, more Cameroonians who are involved in youth development and investing in our activities, is to also set up income generating project that can sustain the work we do. Perhaps selling souvenirs, Better Breed souvenirs like t-shirts, mugs, and things like that.
So if we had to buy some of your souvenirs, where will we find those?
Oh, we're still to launch that project, but we'll be setting up a shop, like a Facebook shop. Here in Boya, we'll set up partners.
Any freebies for me?
Yeah.
And of course, I hope you'll be raising funds for some of us. You know, it's still, broke projects funding themselves kind of thing. We're lobbying for it.
Yeah, we'll work with you.
Talking about money. Okay. If I may remind you, the topic our brilliant minds exchanged on where they shared their opinions on what they thought were the biggest threats to peace and security in Cameroon. If you ask my opinion, I'm going to say being young. That's the biggest threat. That's the biggest threat to peace and security. It's just being young. It's a major threat. But I'm really encouraged to see such a young mind invest herself in helping other people, especially when you don't have any financial backbone, they call it. A few times I've been told, Pamela, you need to get a backbone to be able to succeed. But the question is, what are the conditions you have to succumb to be able to have what these people want you to have? And when you say self-funding, it helps me develop a lot more respect for what we call the young people you hustle. The essays were judged by a political analyst at the British High Commission, so you can tell that this is serious business. If you could do the honors of handing the certificates so I could be at the receiving end of each person.
Okay. Should I stand up?
No.
Okay, just Bruno.
Bruno.
Your envelope. Yeah. So the heaviest one.
Well, the competition was rude because you're not clapping for him.
Oh, that's great.
Bravo!
Everybody's hand is still. They're waiting for theirs. Miss Foba.
Yay!
And last but not the least,
Thank you.
Okay. So where are we going to tonight? Where's the after party?
Okay. Bruno should be answering that.
He's the type of guy.
You see why they say more money, more problems?
Seriously. We are going to see about that.
Okay. I'd encourage most of our youth to develop themselves. Use the tools you have around you to develop knowledge. Knowledge is one thing nobody can take away from you. We curse the leaders, we curse our government, we curse our mates, we curse the system. But the one thing we fail to do is look deep down, into our own flaws and our weaknesses and develop ourselves and see how we can turn things around. I have a belief that, I'm sorry to use this slogan from Tesco's, but every little helps. Every little helps. And this is a small move that has affected 3 lives, including mine. And I'm thankful to have shared with you. And I'm thankful that you brought me on board this project. And please, let's stay friends after this. And how does it feel to be, a winner?
Feels great.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Better Breed Cameroon in, the next, I won't say 5 years because everybody says 5 years. I'd say in the next year, considering where we are right now, what would you hope for Better Breed in the next year?
Okay. We are not affected by anything that's going on right now. Our plans are set. We're launching our new website, we just bought a domain name, so we're leaving from a blog to a website. And we're going to, through this website, not only provide the information we were doing on the blog, but also give resources. We're working on a career manual. We held the first ever campus career day last year. And we think, as you said, that our young people are not having enough career counseling. So we're teaming with Joko on that, working on a career manual, career guide for young people, for young Cameroonians particularly. And the website is going to have opportunities targeting Cameroonians from all around the world. If you want to attend a workshop, fellowships, scholarships, we'll stream that through the website, as well as showcase one young person a month that's doing great things.
Okay. If you can kindly share with us, what are your handles? Social media handles?
At Better Breed CMR on Twitter, Facebook, just Facebook/Better Breed Cameroon. On Twitter, on Instagram, the same thing. Okay. Better Breed CMR.
It's been an amazing afternoon at the foot of the mountain. Earlier on I said there was some breeze, there was some fresh air, some leaves. We are hosted by Iyaboya today, and I've spent an amazing time following a competition launched by Better Breed, and I was accompanied by the amazing coordinator, who's Monique Kwacho. To follow up on their activities, remember to check them out on their social media platforms, and of course, why not take part and contribute to developing the future of our young Cameroonians, and of course, your Cameroon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Miss B, and I'm Simply Deep. Bye.